Good evening. I would like to call to order the October 21st Lake Washington School Board meeting. Please let the record reflect that all board members are present. And I would now like to entertain a motion to approve the October 21st agenda.
Move approval.
It has been moved by Director Carlson and seconded by Director Stewart to approve the agenda. All those in favor, please signify by voting aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. So with that, we will now move on to public comment. So we do provide an opportunity at all our board meetings for public comment, and this is a time reserved during our meeting for the board to hear from the public. So please note this is not a question and answer session with the board. The board and superintendent will not be able to respond to community members during public comment, as our goal is to listen and to learn from you. You are provided up to 3 minutes to speak, and to ensure that we hear from a variety of people, individuals cannot share or donate their time to others. We do have several people signed up this evening, so we will be holding that 3 minutes pretty tight. When your name is called, please approach the podium, speak into the microphone, give your full name and school attendance area, please. And we do have a stoplight system right over here. It'll show a yellow light when you have 1 minute, and red will signify that your 3 minutes are over. And please just wrap up at that point in time. If you don't, I will have to interrupt and ask you to wrap up. It is important for all community members to feel welcome and safe during our board's business meeting, and the board does not take public comments on issues related to personnel or individually named staff at board meetings. Audience members are expected to treat all attendees with respect and civility. So the first person we have signed up this evening to speak is Lindsey Gordon. There we go. So if you could please come forward and say your name and attendance area. Thank you very much.
I'm Lindsey Gordon, and my children go to school in South Kirkland, Ben Franklin, Rose Hill, North Star, and Emerson High School and Lake Washington High School throughout the years. I have 2 children. So, you know, I don't know what kind of experience my children would have had without, you know, the people in the office. You know, we have been through some really life-changing circumstances. In first grade, my son was diagnosed with brain cancer, and I went to school and picked him up from school and took him to the emergency room. Like, his school was very much a part of that story. You know, that he would go to the office when he had headaches, when he couldn't, you know, when he was sleeping, and he was so cared for. And you know, I really don't know where, I mean, what if they weren't there? You know, that would be a hardship for my children. And I'm just really grateful that there were other people in the school that, you know, cared for my children. Even when a teacher or the principal or, you know, someone on the playground wasn't available, you know, they could always come into the office and get what they needed. And they were very forward thinking too. You know, I've never come to this district office. This is my first time here. My children, my son especially, has had 504 plans and IEPs, and I mean, he is extra. You know, having brain cancer and trying to be educated and go through life. You know, at 7, he was diagnosed in first grade, and he's 14 now at Emerson High School. And I don't know, and I had someone recently call me and say, what was your experience when you went to the district to get Mason, da-da-da-da-da? I was like, you know, I've never had to do that. I've never had to go to the district for anything, because at all of my schools, my children, the staff, the principals, the teachers, they knew what we needed, and they, you know, they were very forthcoming with all the services that were available to us. And sometimes when people forget, you know, it was so helpful for, you know, I don't know if I can say their names, you know, Lori or Harriet or Mrs. Kuhn, you know, that would remind people that, you know, things were different for Mason. And I'm just really grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. The next individual I'd like to ask to come speak is Jody Bhava. Oh, there we go.
Good evening. My name is Jody Bhava, and I work for the East Lake community. I'm here today to speak for a Lake Washington ESP colleague who's unable to speak tonight. She has a master's degree and has been working for the Lake Washington School District for 4 years. She is a mother of 3 young children and has been living in Sammamish, and her family relies on her salary along with her husband's to make ends meet. Board members, childcare costs can range from $1,400 to $2,000 a month per child. I'm sure you're aware that Sammamish has the highest mean income in the nation. Imagine trying to find affordable housing in Sammamish on Lake Washington ESP wages. My colleague is an essential figure in the smooth functioning of our school. Is our district serious about retaining valuable employees like her? We must do better. Fair contract now. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next person is Doug Peterson.
I'm going to bore you all with a PowerPoint. Just kidding. My name is Doug Peterson. I have 3 adult children who all attended K through 12. One's a service writer in the automotive industry. One got a doctorate and, a degree in finance with an economics minor and runs a global sales force for an automation company. The other has a doctorate in physical therapy. I have 2 granddaughters here at Kirkland. I have coached 3 soccer teams and a baseball team, volunteered at all 3 schools, started and run 2 nonprofits supporting the University of Washington. I'm a real believer in the school system. I'm currently volunteering my time at the Lake Washington School District Career and Technical Education Program Advisory Committee. Professionally, my firm has provided executive mentoring services for the past 20 years to the private sector. I'm here to better understand what values the districts have and what you want the community to think. The McClearly Court clearly states that all education staff, including office staff, were to receive a substantial raise. That means a teacher making $70,000 would get an increase of 12% or $8,400 this year. A office staff making $40,000 would not get an increase. If they did get a 5% increase, it would only be $2,000. People don't work in business without an agreement and on compensation, yet this group of dedicated professionals keeps on working. The vast majority of this workforce is women. Does this sound equitable? Is this the message you want to send? What do you want the community to think about how you treat office professionals? There is no equity in pay.
So the next person we have signed up is Matthew Winkler.
Good evening. My name is Matt Winkler. I'm a classroom teacher and LWEA building representative at Juanita High School, where I teach physics in the universe and the 9th grade AVID elective. I'm also a product of Lake Washington School District, having graduated from Ben Franklin Elementary, Kamaikan Middle School, it was a junior high at the time, and Juanita High School. I'm speaking here tonight in favor of the Lake Washington educational support professionals and their pursuit of a contract that recognizes their critical importance to the work that Lake Washington does every day in elevating the educational experience of its students. LWESP members are some of the first Lake Washington staff that my students see each day. They are the ones with the institutional knowledge and dedication to our school that have carried Juanita through our transition to a new administrative team and into our almost complete new building. In my third year of teaching now, LWESP members are still the ones I go to with questions about district procedures, school policies, and navigating the institutional complexities of being a teacher, a coach, and a club advisor. I and every other teacher in our building know that we would be lost and our school would cease to function without the continued efforts of our educational support professionals. Following LWEA's recent contract renegotiation, I was proud to say that Lake Washington was one of the first districts in the state to honor its certificated staff with contracts that moved closer to recognizing the true value of educators. I was even more proud when our new contract served as a wake-up call to the neighboring districts, driving statewide action on the issues of fair compensation for educators. In that light, how can I view it as anything but an embarrassment that Lake Washington has been unwilling to extend the same recognition to the educational support staff who make my job possible? Today marks 51 days without a contract, and still the members of LWESP work towards the betterment of our students, while the district balks at honoring their request for compensation that is commensurate with support professionals in neighboring districts. I'm proud to be an educator. I'm proud to be a union member, and I hope that soon I can again say that I am proud to work for a district that recognizes and values the contributions of all of its staff. Thank you.
Okay, the next person we have signed up is Melody Keefer.
Good evening. My name is Melody Keefer, but I think you all know that because I've been up here before. It's distressing to know that I have to be up here again. I currently work at Wilder Elementary in the Redmond attendance area as the office manager. I've worked in the district since 1996. I served on the LWESP bargaining team in 2009. That, unfortunately, was an incredibly difficult bargain. At the time, I believed that no bargain would be more difficult or make me feel less appreciated than I did in 2009. I was wrong. This one is worse. As you can see from the attendance here tonight, it's not just us whining that we want more money. It's the teachers, it's the classified staff, it's the community, it's everyone saying it's time to get this done. In fact, here are some things that are signed by SEIU members, quite a few here, that are talking about supporting us in our bargaining. Some facts to consider. Fact, the state did designate McCleary funds to this and other school districts to address compensation for all staff, not just teachers, and including office professionals. Fact, the state Supreme Court, when ordering the state to fund school employee compensation, stated, "Nothing is more basic than adequate compensation." Fact, our district was a member of the news coalition that supported the McCleary lawsuit to the end. The district wanted the money, they needed the money, and now they have the money. Fact, this district is sitting on a huge amount of money, millions more than it would take to provide a fair contract to all LWESP members. Fact, if I were to work in the neighboring district in North Shore, same experience, same job, I would be earning 32% more than I do today. 32%. I will tell you, I have been watching their boards. It is time for this board to direct the Business Services Office to designate funds to provide a fair contract for LWESP members. It is time for the Business Services Office to budget funds for this contract and to direct the bargaining team to offer this to the LWESP. It is time for the bargaining team to quit stalling and bargain in good faith. It is time. It is time. It is time.
Thank you.
So the next person we have is Jodi Sites.
Hi, my name is Jodi Sites. I have lived in the East Lake Learning Community for over 25 years, and I've worked in the Lake Washington Learning Community for the past 16. It is difficult for me to be here tonight because I come from a family of educators. My dad started out as a teacher, became a school administrator, and retired as a district business manager. My brother and sister are both teachers. My younger daughter is a teacher at Kamiakin Middle School, choosing to come back to teach and serve in the district where she received a large part of her formal education. Needless to say, I'm very proud of her. Because of my family history, it is uncomfortable for me to be at odds with the school district where I live, and I'm disappointed that I'm put in this position. Ever since I began voting at age 18, I have never voted against a school bond or levy, even when I became a homeowner and knowing that it would affect my property taxes. Why have I always voted yes? Because I believe the kids in my community should get a quality education, and I know that a good education costs money. Money is needed to hire and retain top quality personnel. At my school, and even here in this building, I am constantly being told that every decision made is according to what's best for kids. What's best for kids is to have the very best people caring for and educating the kids that parents send to us each day. Unfortunately, we are losing top-notch LWESP members at an alarming rate. Who can blame them when they can go to one district over in almost any direction and receive higher pay, better benefits, and respect and appreciation? As school board members, you were elected by many LWESP members. We voted for you because we trusted that you would make sure the district makes the best decisions for our students. I'm asking that you do that by supporting us as we bargain our new contract. The district is refusing to offer a fair and competitive wage is not what's best for kids. Your bargaining team has struggled to explain their methodology and rationale for determining a competitive wage. I respectfully point out that their Glassdoor.com data is not an objective or reliable source. I'm sure each of you would agree that we don't want wages to be based off anonymous, unverifiable posts similar to Yelp posts. Last Wednesday, we had an anonymous violent threat to our school. Almost 400 kids stayed home from school. I'm glad they did what they needed to feel safe. What did the office staff and other LWS staff do? Every one of us came to work, even though 2 of those people sit right inside the front door of our school. That's dedication and the type of behavior that should be rewarded and valued. We deserve a fair and equitable pay raise. You, our school board, set the parameters for the bargain. I'm asking you to advocate on our behalf to the district personnel that you oversee and who represent each one of you at the bargaining table. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next person is Kathleen Brace.
My name is Kathleen Brace. I'm the attendance secretary at Redmond High School. A week ago tonight, just around this time, one of our 10th grade football players took his life. When I heard that LWESP was going to rally tonight, I thought our issues were incidental to what had just happened. But they are not. We are the front line. We are the ones that parents call crying asking what happened, asking how can they make sure this does not happen to their child, asking how did they get through this. We take care of their students 180 days throughout the year, and they depend on us knowing what to do and how to help. The LWESB board sends us updates after each bargaining meeting. Does the board really think so little of us that they will not negotiate and respect us? Are we not worth a pay raise? Will we have to take a pay cut? What do I do with this frustration and feeling of being powerless? I felt the need to speak to you tonight. I'd like to tell the school board what it was like last week for us. I hope it'll give you some insight into what it was like for the secretaries and office staff at Redmond High School. At 5:15 Tuesday morning, I received a text telling me that one of our students had taken his life. All of a sudden, what was going to be a regular Tuesday changed for all 2,000 students, all our staff, and I was later to find out the staff and students of Redmond Middle School and Rockwell Elementary, if not others. Getting to the school, the mood was somber. My first period TA was on the football team, and after making sure I knew he was okay, he went off to the Career Center to meet with the football team and the coaches. I later learned that the team and coaches were sobbing in grief as the secretaries and others tried to comfort them. I had parents crying on the phone or in person and needing to speak to their child in order to make sure they were okay. I had parents coming to pick up their students so they could be together. I had students in tears wanting to go home. I told them to drive carefully after talking to the parents because I was concerned for their safety. I thought I was doing okay until I received an email from a parent excusing her child and mentioning she was the teacher of the second grade sibling of this boy, and that there was also a fifth grade sibling. So not only was our school dealing with this, other schools and staff were. Secretaries from the Redmond Middle School, Lake Washington High School, and Timberline Middle School reached out to us to comfort us because they knew what we were going through. That was just Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, it took me 5.5 hours to read and listen to all my messages. It was PSAT testing day, and either the students were just unable to test or they just had to stay home to grieve. Listening and reading one message after another was overwhelming. I was so relieved I didn't have to work on Friday. I desperately needed a break. My husband said, "You look like you're holding up okay." I said if I really thought about what I could encounter on any given day when I went to work, I couldn't go. All of us, secretaries, office managers, office staff, do our job for the students, the teachers, and for each other. But it is extremely difficult right now. I have been told from others who have experienced this kind of death of a student that it doesn't get better for a very long time, if ever. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next individual we have signed up is Tamara Hill.
Good evening, and thank you. I'm from the Lake Washington Learning Feeder Schools, Ben Franklin, Rose Hill, Lake Washington, as well as recently having severed my employment with Lake Washington School District. I've come before you in the past and read statements from others. Tonight, I wanted to come before you and thank you, the school board and the district administration, specifically the business administration office, for clearly delivering the message of disrespect to your office professionals. It was the continued reports back from the union representatives that virtually little to no progress had been made in negotiations, even after the district asked for mediation. This is what prompted me to look elsewhere for employment. I have found an awesome opportunity, and I'm grateful for the push I needed to take this step. Thank you. Even though I have left the employment of the district, I am still a community member in the Lake Washington School District and and am very sickened by the lack of respect given to Lake Washington LWESP. Can you tell me a time when the office professionals contract was negotiated in a timely manner? I doubt it. I tried to find a time. I know it's not been in the last 10 years. Your office professionals are just that, professionals. They keep showing up to work and do a darn good job for the schools they support. Please start showing them the respect they deserve and work with the bargaining team to create a fair and equitable contract. Remember a few meetings ago, I read you the definition of equity, the quality of being fair and impartial, equity. I'm waiting for the district to prove, I'm waiting for the district to prove their commitment to equity by giving the office support professionals a fair contract. And FYI, a 2% increase on $22.50 an hour, which is 45 cents an hour, is really not showing respect. Is that all the executive staff received with the McCleary funds became available? No, it's not. So where is the equity? Thank you for your time this evening, and again, thank you for the push I needed to go out and find a place that was more willing to give me the opportunity to live in this area. Equity, fairness, impartiality, decency, and equity.
The next individual we have signed up is Carolyn Roush.
Good evening. My name is Caroline Roush, and I am the parent of 2 students at Smith Elementary. Over the past 6 years, we have had many amazing experiences with the Smith office staff. It brings me to tears just thinking about how much I appreciate these people and how they keep my kids and all the students and staff safe and organized. My oldest son is in 5th grade and has type 1 diabetes. He was diagnosed 5 days before kindergarten. The office staff walked us through and supported us in this difficult time by helping us navigate what we needed to do to have him safe and at school on the very first day. Type 1 diabetes is a life-threatening condition if not managed. Even though he has insulin, there are many variables that can cause his blood sugar to rise, such as excitement, stress, a failed pump site, etc., or drop, such as exercise, miscounting carbs, etc. At ages 5 through 9, my son could not make complex dosing decisions on his own. The office staff has been amazing when communicating with me about his daily activities and numbers. We have been partners together, and my son would not be in a safe environment without their help and support. Because the district nurses share schools and are not on site all day, we ask for volunteers to go through training at Seattle Children's. This training teaches volunteers how to mix and inject life-saving glucagon in my son if he were to become unresponsive due to low blood sugar. Without immediate action, my son could suffer permanent brain damage or even death. There is not even enough time to wait for the EMT to arrive. The glucagon must be administered immediately. The training also teaches how to monitor and dose for lunches, snacks, and high and low blood sugars. Basically, it allows my son to safely attend school in the least restrictive environment possible so that he can learn and thrive just like any other child. 2 amazing women have undergone this training and taken on this responsibility on their own time because they cared, Jen Wagner and Karen Cox. These ladies know his care plan and schedule like the back of their hands. I know that if I cannot be reached, they would know how to care for my son and keep him safe. I cannot underline the peace of mind this gives me knowing that they are there for him. It really takes a village. Through their support, he is now transitioning to care for himself and how to manage it more independently for middle school. But because of them, he'll be ready by next fall. Due to my son's healthcare needs, I have spent countless hours in the office and witnessed what these amazing people do every single minute of every single day. They screen people at the doors to ensure that no one enters that shouldn't be on campus. They cheer for children when they turn in praise notes for positive things they have done. They point you in the right direction, either to a classroom or to a person that can help answer your question. They care about each person that walks through that door. They are the welcoming faces of the school. I cannot say enough positive things of all of them. Kelly Eaton, Gary Wilson, Karen Cox, Jen Wagner. Without them, our school would not be nearly as safe, organized, or cared for. They are the hub, and I appreciate them more than words can say. Please show them that you support them and appreciate them too.
Thank you. The next person is Seeley Landis. Oh, okay. Welcome.
Hi, I didn't know I was going to speak. It's okay, though. No, it's okay. I have a little speech, so I'm good to go. I'll be very quick. Hello, my name is Seeley Landis. I'm the office manager at Emerson K-12 in the Lake Washington's feeder pattern. Last year, our superintendent asked me and my LWESP colleagues to be radically welcoming and provide uncommon service. This left a strong impression with me. I took it to heart, and I feel that we try to honor this in our work every day. My school feels like family to me, but here we are working without a contract and have to fight for our McCleary increase. This shows me that the school district does not value or respect my radically welcoming and uncommon service. I have 13 years of volunteering and 17 years of working with the Lake Washington School District. I am ready for my McCleary pay increase. I'm living at the poverty level for the Seattle area. I have a basement apartment in my house that I could not afford to rent on what the school district pays me. A new study says earning $100,000 a year isn't enough for basic expenses in Seattle and Bellevue. I make half of that. Every year our school district grows. Every year we upgrade and learn new systems. Every day, LWESP members work to keep students healthy and safe. We monitor who is allowed to walk into our schools. We report attendance, maintain budgets, do payroll, and support our teachers and administrators. Every day, we are there for our students, helping them overcome their challenges that they're facing, helping support their successes. That is what we do. That is who we are. We know the McCleary money is supposed to pay for all facets of education, including professional pay for all. We know the district has received millions more in McCleary money. It is past time for the Lake Washington School District to value us and the work we do. It is time to extend the McCleary pay increase to all of the Lake Washington office professionals. Thank you.
And the next person is Kerry Miller.
Hello, I'm Kerry Miller, and I'm part of the Eastlake Learning Community, specifically Blackwell Elementary. As a parent, LWSC volunteer, and PTSA board member, I can tell you firsthand how valuable our office staff and secretaries are. They are the key to our children's first school experience. From being greeted in the office, to monitoring the new school security system, to being constantly disrupted by both parents and students, and yet still able to help answer all and every question they are asked. I can honestly say that our secretary staff has a hand in all aspects of our school and go above and beyond their job titles every single day. They are currently being undervalued by the school district. Our office staff are truly the bones of our school, and without them, our elementary school would fall apart. I implore you to ensure that Lake Washington School District secretaries and office staff have a fair contract so ours can fully focus on their critical work, being the faces, the heart, and the keys to our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. And so the last person I do have signed up is Susan Wilkins.
Hi, I'm Susan Wilkins, and I'm a parent and a community member who's very interested in this topic. I want to talk to you about the board policy and the Lake Washington Educational Service Providers contract. You've invited all of us to make public comments to the board, but the board has a corporate structure in the same way that a corporation would have a board of directors and a CEO. You are the board, and Superintendent Staven is the CEO. Any comments we make to you are meaningless unless you pass a resolution directing the superintendent to take action on this. One of you needs to make a motion, another one needs to second it, and then you talk about it and vote on it. So I'm asking you to pass a resolution that directs the superintendent to intervene in the contract negotiations. We've heard from many people who tell you that there isn't enough, they're not making as much money as North Shore or Seattle School District, that they can't live on what you're giving to them. So I'm asking you to act in your corporate structure to pass a resolution to intervene in this matter and provide compensation to the Lake Washington Educational Service Providers that is comparable, that is fair, that allows for retention of employees so we don't see the turnover, and to provide a livable wage for all of them. Thank you.
So that will wrap up our public comment for this evening. Thank you very much for taking the time and coming out. You are welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting. You can feel free to get up and leave at this point in time. It is completely your choice. We will be continuing on. I would like to let people know that currently we are having a challenge with the video. It is being recorded and it will get posted online, but our provider is not live. But it is being recorded. It is on TV. Okay. So the next item on our agenda, as we go, another item on our agenda would be the consent agenda. So I'd be looking for a motion to approve.
Move approval. Second.
Been moved by Director Carlson and seconded by Director LaLiberty to approve the consent agenda. Dr. Staven, would you poll the board?
Director Sage?
Yes.
Director LaLiberty?
Yes.
Director Stewart?
Yes.
President Bleasner?
Yes.
Director Carlson?
Yes.
So Dr. Staven, could you please summarize the donations? I will. This month, we have donations in the amount of $90,776.79 from our PTSA, and from private sources in the amount of $20,563.83, for a grand total of $111,340.62.
All right, thank you, and thank you for the generosity of our community in coming forward with that. So the next item is, it is now October, so we do have the enrollment update and what is happening. So, Dr. Staven, if you could go ahead and
Yes.
introduce.
I'm going to ask Barbara Posthumus, our Associate Superintendent for Business and Support Services, to come forward. But this is always kind of an exciting time in the life of a school district, particularly when your enrollment is going up. It's not quite as exciting when an enrollment is going down. But we know that our district has been a fast-growing district, and so we take that official count early in October. And so Barbara is going to give us an update on the official enrollment of our district.
Good evening, everyone. All right, I am going to present, have just some quick slides on our enrollment update now that we've had our October 1 count. We're going to just give you some statistics, some demographics, and then talk about some forecasting updates. So first, we'll go over our statistics. I'm proud to announce that our October 1st count is 31,106 students this year. There's some wonderful pictures of happy students, happy families arriving to school this year. So this slide shows our 5-year change in our October 1st head count. And so we grew, if you focus on the last column, so again, that count in bold of 31,106, we grew by 1,100 students this year, or about 3.7%. And you can see that back in 15-16 and 16-17, we were over 4% growth for 2 years in a row. Then our enrollment numbers kind of slowed down a little bit. If you can call over 4 to 500 slow, but compared to the prior 2 years. So, and then we are back in the 3.7% range. And this just shows, you can also see below, or in the middle, the Skills Center row shows our growth in our Wannock Skills Center. And again, we're also required to count students that are served through our consortium, even though they are either at Wannock or taking Skills Center programs on their school campuses. So this slide shows our budget versus our actual head count. So for this school year, the 1920 school year, we budgeted approximately 30,500 students, and our actual count was about 563 students higher than that. Reason for that change was our kindergarten registrations this year were significantly lower. We start registering students in February, and they were significantly lower than in previous years, so that informed our projections for kindergarten, and we really didn't see an uptick in those kindergarten counts until over the summer. So I think we've had all-day kindergarten enrollment since the 2000 or fully paid, fully funded all-day kindergarten since the 2016 school year. So I think there's less incentive for families to register early. We've been making sure to get the word out, though, that they do that, but we're gonna probably start seeing a decline in early registration. So that's one reason for the change. We also did see a larger increase from our kindergarten to first grade. So more first graders enrolled this year than we normally see in that growth. So that's kind of the primary reason for that difference. So this is a chart just showing the growth in our Running Start enrollment. So we, over time, we see a drop in 11th grade as students enroll in Running Start. And so it's a 41% over the last 2-year increase in our enrollment in Running Start. So this is our slide that you've seen many times, our ski slope, where we're flat for the first, 1999 through 2008, and then we started our very rapid enrollment growth. And one of the other statistics is 5 years ago, we were the 6th largest school district in the state. And we are now, with our 31,000 student enrollment, we are now the 2nd largest district in the state, only below Seattle. So that's a significant change for any district to grow that fast. And so Seattle, Lake Washington, then Spokane, then Tacoma are the top 4 districts. So you can just see that rapid change. We went from 6th to 4th in 1 year, then to 3rd the next year, then we stayed at 3rd for 2 years, and now we're 2nd. So this is another chart you're familiar with. used this with our community during our levy last year. And so this just compares, we're the fastest growing school district in the Puget Sound area. This is our percentage growth over 11 years. So we've grown 31% over 11 years. Our bar is the thick solid blue bar, and only Issaquah, really our neighbor Issaquah, is behind us at 27%, but you can see our other neighbors such as Bellevue, Seattle, North Shore are down in the 18 to 19% range. And then Spokane, the third largest district now, you can see is that darker blue line, and they've been relatively flat for the past 4 years. So we've had 11 straight years of enrollment increases. We're growing an average of about 667 students per year, which is the size of a large elementary school. So this is the chart showing the 6 largest school districts. Again, Seattle, number 1. And Lake Washington, I don't think we'll be number 1 next year. So I think we're pretty sure of that, but we're not going to exceed Seattle next year. But and then Spokane, Tacoma, and Kent and Evergreen right behind us. So then the next few slides are just showing some demographics. This is our ethnicity and race, and just comparing where we were in 2014 to 2019. So you can see that we are now, the majority is the white at 47%, where it was at 59%, and our largest growth in the Asian population, moving from 21% to 32%. Our Hispanic is relatively stable at 10.4 and 10.3, and then our the others, the Native Hawaiian, 2 or more races, and American Indian, again, are relatively stable. And an increase in our Black African American from 1.6% to 2%. And these are preliminary, the 2019 numbers. We will have our official ethnic counts later in December. So this table shows our English language program enrollment changes, and so we've grown in the last 5 years by about 1,100 students, and as a percentage of our total enrollment, it's grown from 7% to over 10% now. And this shows our special education program enrollment. So we have our, the first column is our birth to 2. We serve all ages from birth to age 21, so our birth to 2, and then our preschool enrollment, and our kindergarten through 21. So for our total enrollment this year of 3545 in our special education program. And you can also see that our special education enrollment is declining as a percentage of our overall enrollment. So from 11% 5 years ago to 9.7%. So this is our free, and this is similar with our free and reduced. It is also declining as a percentage of total enrollment. It's gone from 13.8% to 10.5% of our total population. So the other, we are enriching our forecasting ability by contracting with Flow Analytics in order to enhance the work that we already do with our long-range projection work. The board received additional information and a presentation by Flow Analytics at their study session today. Flow Analytics uses innovative mapping and data analysis tools to provide representation, and it will help us provide more visuals that we haven't been able to provide before. So they are looking at our current and historical enrollment trends. They're looking at future enrollment projections. They use land use. They're working with all of our cities and counties to get information on developments, and we the district staff already does that work, and they're just enhancing the information that we've already gathered. And then they also have the potential to assist us with visuals for our school attendance boundary process work when we do boundary work. So they began work early this summer, and we expect to have an enrollment forecast by end of December, beginning of January, alongside, and that will come alongside our current timeline for the district's long range forecast. So we're excited about the work that we're going to do with them. And this is just an example of a map that some of the visuals that they can provide. This is a student density map showing kind of the dark blue areas where the most population, and of course the lighter areas are outside the urban growth boundary line, with the exception of the Redmond Ridge area. So that's just a neat visual that they can provide. Just one of many examples. So that is the end of my presentation. Do you have any questions on that?
Director Carlson?
So a few slides back, you had something on the trends with ELL.
Okay.
And that is fascinating to me because we've grown almost 50% in the EL program, but at 10% of the kids being in ELL across the district, that would suggest that something around a third of kids have been through it, because it only lasts 3 years. Have you got historic numbers on what proportion of our student body are post-ELL, exited ELL?
The exiting, we can get that data. I don't obviously have it in the presentation, but yes, we do track how many students.
I would definitely like to see.
And because the state, we do provide support to the exited students.
And
so
I'm not worried about them, because every time you present performance of post-ELL, it's actually very successful. But cumulatively, I think we're getting to the point where there's it is not unusual for your first language not to be English anymore for our students, in any way, shape, or form. And I'm curious about how not unusual it's become. So anyway, thanks.
All right.
The only other question I had was, you had a large increase in Running Start in 2018. I'm assuming that was with the addition of Central Washington University out on the plateau? Or was that from some other reason?
I don't think we can attribute all of that increase to Central Washington. I'd have to go back and dig into the details. I think it was really just a large growth, but I can get that information. So, yeah.
I think it's probably a variety of reasons as things have continued to grow and develop over time. I think it's something that is of value to students and families. Also, we've had some schedule changes, and we're kind of in the process of analyzing that in terms of who's choosing to do Running Start versus who's choosing to stay in their home high school and take courses. So we're looking at that, but I think it's probably all of those things and more availability.
And go for it.
I'd also be curious to see how many of last year's high school graduates from Juanita High School opted to do off-campus with Running Start last year, because it was the second year of construction, living in portables, a lot of crowd. That might have been a contributing factor.
On the free and reduced lunch aspect, do we have a suggestion that it's due to folks not being able to keep on affording the district and therefore moving out, or we're having more people move in that would not be in the program, or is it a combination?
Yeah, that's a good question. And my sense would be it's just about our population growth and more people moving in, and just the economy the way it is right now. So
the main, sorry, I was distracting myself with trying to find interesting trends, because mostly I find these numbers utterly terrifying. Adding another 1,100 kids, it's not merely that it's another 1,100 kids, but it's still a bubble at the low end. More than half of them are K-5. That's a sustained bubble that we're going to be surviving for the next 13 years. And I appreciate the conservative enrollment budgeting. That's not our forecasting for the purpose of boundaries. That's about trying to make sure that we don't overspend our budgets annually. But when we have not just 500 kids more than last year, but 563 kids beyond what we budgeted, I'm trying not to panic. And I don't have anything constructive to say beyond that.
I don't think we should be fooled too much by the lowering the number of special needs students, because even when the head count goes down, the intensity of need of service has gone up tremendously in the last several years. So you may have less bodies, but you have more need for intensive services, more need of staff, so forth.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's hard to know is when you look at our growth trajectory, what's a bubble that we're going to follow and what's going to be a bubble after a bubble after a bubble that no longer is a bubble. And it's just the trend. And we are still, as a school district, looking at the mechanisms we have as a district to make decisions and obtain funding for additions, new facilities, whatever that is. But we know that the pace of our growth does not match the pace at which we can do those things. So we'll have to be creative and continue to look at what the possibilities are, but the need is certainly already here and now, coming again for another year, pretty full force.
Any other questions? So with that, I guess thank you very much.
Thank you.
She doesn't get to sit down.
I
now.
don't, yeah.
Oh, you have the next one as well. All right. So now that we are the second largest district in the state, we will now hear about transportation.
Yep, and with Barbara tonight is Robert Foster from Operations, and between the two of them, I don't know how much Robert is going to be at the microphone, but they're both here to present information. We're looking forward to this because transportation, as you know, is a very complex system in our district. And anybody who is out and about at any time of day really sees where our drivers are with relationship to the traffic that we have and the complexities. And then you saw the density map as part of our enrollment. And so it's maximizing the resources that we have continual openings for drivers, knowing that we are trying to use the resources that we have as effectively and efficiently as possible while still providing timely service to students who are being transported by bus. So tonight we've got an update on information related to transportation and some interesting facts.
Yes.
Very interesting facts.
Yes, I'm excited to, we haven't presented on transportation in a while, so it's great that we are doing that. And again, I'm proud of the work that our transportation staff and bus drivers do to support our strategic plan and effective use of resources and to support our students' academic success. So our drivers support students in our community. They're recognized by their peers for their outstanding service, and I, again, want to provide you information tonight about this great group of people and the work that they do. So I'm just going to start out by showing you some pictures of our fabulous drivers. Not only is this School Bus Safety Week, but Wednesday is Unity Day, where we encourage people to wear orange to show that we're together against bullying. And it's the one day I wear a t-shirt to work. It's great. We're against bullying and united for kindness, acceptance, and inclusion. And our bus drivers participate in this very important day by wearing t-shirts that say "No bullying on my bus." And so the front of their t-shirt says Unity, and the back of their t-shirt says "No bullying on my bus." So we're excited that, you know, we just have a great group of drivers. This slide is our drivers being recognized for a school bus, what they call a rodeo. And so we have regional rodeos and statewide rodeos, and they participate in, last May they participated in a regional rodeo, and they have 2 special needs teams and 3 conventional driver teams. And we had a team place first at the special needs regional rodeo. We had a team place second, and a brand new driver that had only been driving for 3 months placed third in the regional rodeos. So we're just really proud of our drivers for the work that they do. And then this picture just shows the community, the support of the community. Last Christmas, they held a toy drive in conjunction with HopeLink. They went out to the Fred Meyer parking lot in Kirkland and collected toys and distributed the toys. And so that was just a great day for them, and the community was really excited. So I am going to turn the rest of the presentation over to Robert Foster. Robert is our Associate Director, and he started in the district in May, and we're just so excited to have him. He oversees custodial, maintenance, and transportation. So I'm going to turn it over to Robert, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Barbara. Good evening. It's interesting the segue from the demographics and our growth into what we're doing in transportation. So I've got some great statistics to share with you and some fun facts. So you can see here 8,000 over 8,900 students driven daily. Now that's just AM routes. Over 700 of those are specialized transportation, so between preschool and special education. You can see 1.3 million route miles. Now that's annually, not daily. We do have over 64,000 field trips, extracurricular miles annually on our buses. The equivalent of that is nearly 3 trips to the moon and back, or 52 times around the globe. Some consumables. We use over 186,000 gallons of diesel fuel and 22,000 gallons of gasoline. We're working hard on our efficiency, and you guys have all seen the traffic and the congestion we have around here. 52 is the highest number of activity trips in a day, so that's quite a number. Last year, the record was 69. We're hoping not to hit that this year, but you never know. Of the 2,600 extracurricular trips, 1,200 of them, almost 1,300, are done by charter bus. With the number of drivers we have, we cannot handle it all, so we charter that out. A charter trip average for cost for a 3-round trip is $473. For that same trip in a yellow bus, it's $148. So 3 times the number, the amount dollar-wise for a charter bus. A little education on the types of buses we have. We have A's, C's, C small, C large, and type D. And you can see the numbers of each that we have and their capacity. We use 91 buses a day. The additional buses we have are needed when buses are being serviced, so we keep those as backup. The type A and C can also be fitted for wheelchair stations. And we are replacing the type A buses with type C as they are more efficient, they're a little bit larger, and they're easier to work on. They have, it says there are 35 seats, less a wheelchair. So we can put 1 or 2 wheelchair stations in. That takes up 2 rows of seats, so that changes the capacity in those. All of our new Cs now come with wheelchair stations so that we can be flexible as needs arise. And we'll also keep 3 to 4 type D buses on in our inventory because they have that underneath storage, so we can use those for when we need it. Next, we're going to talk about safety and efficiency. Safety is of the utmost importance. In fact, we break it down into 3 major categories: maintenance, training, and equipment. As you can see here, the Washington State Patrol conducts safety inspections every year. They do a random inspection on 25% of the fleet and then 1 scheduled inspection annually. Our district has been recognized by OSBI for consistently having outstanding bus inspections. Our annual inspections have received highest rating for the last 15 years. Drivers perform daily inspections, and they use a handheld device on their checklist, and so data is recorded, and every driver does that prior to going out in the day. Our transportation staff, especially the bus mechanics, they do an outstanding job of maintaining our buses and keeping them safe. It's a true measure of how safe our buses are and the dedication of our staff. Training is next, and you can see we employ a full-time driver trainer. New bus drivers receive a minimum of 50 hours where they have to have a commercial driver's license, first aid card, and Department of Transportation physical. They go through rigorous testing to make sure that they're ready before they're cleared to drive students, and they all receive at least 12 hours of additional training annually. Equipment. All buses are equipped with GPS tracking and two-way radios, and all buses are also equipped with the tablets to assist with routes. Now, there's a lot happening on this slide, but routes are structured to maximize time, ridership, and number of runs per day. You can see the definition of a route and a run there on the left. So we use 91 buses over 182 bus routes with 58 different runs. Okay, so that's an average of 3.2 runs per route. So let that sink in for a second, routes and run. We have 52 AM and 56 PM routes with 34 runs per route. And we have 18 AM and 8 PM routes with 4. So we're really working on our efficiency so we don't have deadhead routes, so we're not dropping off students and driving across the district. We're really managing efficiently so we can get to the nearest place to pick up and drop off students. Our large capacity buses have been retrofitted to transport preschool and special needs when needed. That also helps with our driver shortage that we have right now, so they can do multiple routes and be more efficient in their work. We have achieved a 100% efficiency rating by OSPI each year since they began tracking, which is, I believe, 2014 or 15. That's the highest rating that they give. Some would argue if you can be more than that, we are. Staffing, here's where we really make a difference. So we've been working hard to recruit and retain and hire highly qualified drivers. We work closely with human resources to recruit and hire. We recruit through normal channels, so like our website, plus we use Craigslist and Indeed. We also work with communications on articles on the website and Facebook and connections. Hiring banners are displayed around the community on school fences. I'm sure you've seen those. Human Resources developed We Are Hiring posters, which are now displayed at Hope Link and Redmond Workstation locations. We're also using Peach Jar to post flyers and posting ads in local papers. This year, I think in July, we hired a dedicated associate director of classified recruitment and hiring and through HR. And he's already been making a difference, so that's exciting. You can see we have, of our drivers, 22 of them have over 10 years experience, 44 have over 5 years. But what we're seeing with the bus driver applicant pool is that this has changed from a long-term career into more of a semi-retirement pool, which creates higher turnover, which is just one of our challenges. As you can see, the majority of our drivers have been with us less than 10 years. Typical day of a bus driver. They arrive and check messages and route changes. Every day, the pre-trip inspection. They're managing students, traffic, logging student counts, checking for items left on the bus, and then checking off that they don't leave anybody behind. Very important. Drivers don't always drive the same route in the AM and PM to achieve the highest level of efficiency. And then, of course, they clean and fuel their buses daily. Many start early and work late. As you can see, as early as 5:45 a.m. and end their regular shift at 5:15. The split shift means that they are 4 to 5 hours, often in the middle of the day. That doesn't help with full-time employment. That's one of our challenges. However, many drivers are able to fill their day and increase their income by adding midday runs and trips to their schedules. Dispatch support.
What does bid on mean? The last bullet there, they can bid on trips.
Good question. So all the routes are listed, and then based on, per their collective bargaining agreement, based on their seniority, they are able to bid on the routes.
Okay, I was assuming it was seniority and not how much they would do the run for.
Good question. You never know. Good question. Dispatch support. So we have 6 full-time dispatchers that, if you've ever been in the dispatch office, they are amazing. They manage phones, radios, create and manage routes, and drive as substitute bus drivers on a daily basis. It's seldom that we don't have one, and often all 6 out driving as fill-ins. And then they need to come back and finish their work at the end of the day. So there's some long days for many of them. As you can see, these are the various types of programs that our routing staff manage on a daily basis. The districts, we have 6 mechanics and a supervisor responsible for maintaining over 300 pieces of equipment. As you can see by this list, they maintain much more than just our yellow buses. Enhanced transportation systems. So as you can see here, we've worked hard to improve our communication. We're focused on tools to provide bus information accurate to 5 minutes or less. So our current system, Zonar, refreshes, and it refreshes often enough that a lot of times it's accurate, but at the most it's 5 minutes delayed. And we encourage every family to, of course, be at the bus stop 5 minutes prior to their load time, so that accounts for that. We currently use School Messenger to communicate changes to parents. This can be a challenge just because sometimes due to the timing of when we know there's an issue and when communication can go out. Oh, thank you. So the MyStop app we have is new this fall, and it allows parents to download an app on their cell phone and then track the bus that their students either going to get on or going to be getting off. So we piloted that last spring and over the summer, and now it's up and running.
I think Director Stewart has a question.
Just a couple of questions. Sure. The 702 students, special needs for transportation, is that inclusive of the ones who are not on district vehicles, such as the ambulance, the van, so forth, or is it?
I believe that's separate.
Is that separate?
It's, I believe it's all students who require specialized transportation.
Okay, so it's our vehicles and their other, okay,
Yes.
thank you. Just curious. Do we have a break? Now I'm going to ask the really dumb question. Do we have a breakdown of, is that 10% of the kids that don't go in our vehicles, 15, 5%? Any idea?
Not off the top of my head, I'd have to get that.
Just thought I'd ask. Also, I know that a year or so back, we were having some problems with SPED kids being dropped off on busy streets and picked up on busy streets, such as Avondale. Is that ceased?
We are working hard to make sure that everybody's delivered safely and picked up safely.
Are any of the SPED students being dropped off at Avondale again?
I haven't heard of any specific issues about
Okay.
students being
Wanted to know.
dropped off on Avondale.
Thank you.
But, yeah.
Director Sage.
Quick question on substitute drivers. What does that training look like?
Very similar or the same as full-time drivers. A lot
So
of
it's the
times
50 hours.
substitutes only want to work 1 day a week or 2. They have other jobs, and this is a fill for them, but they go through the same training.
Okay, thanks.
Same requirements, yes.
My favorite bus driver in 15 years was ex-military. Do we have numbers on how many of our bus drivers are veterans?
I do not.
Okay.
It's a good question. So as you can see, we also use alternative providers. Contract with Metro, American Logistics, and charter bus companies to supplement our fleet and our drivers. We provide Metro cards to all Lake Washington High School students. We have issued approximately 1,050 at Lake Washington High School, and there are an average of 145 students that ride Metro during the AM and PM route times. We're continuing to work with Metro on ways to increase accessibility for students and families to obtain ORCID passes, and we continue to collaborate on future needs with Metro.
Sorry, go ahead. Just on an informational level, how much per kid does an ORCID card cost for the high school students?
I believe I was just working on this a month or so ago. I believe it's about $163 per card per student.
And is that for a 9-month or a full year?
It's
For
the
school
cost
year?
for the year.
The school
Yeah,
year or the
until
full year?
I believe it's the school year. I'd have to find out when the cards exactly expire. I don't think we're, so.
Quick question then, if it's $163 per student for the ORCID card for the school year, how much does it cost us for a student riding our regular buses? And by comparison, just out of curiosity to see what the cost benefit would be to have more kids on ORCID cards if the routes were available.
Correct.
Just something to think about. I also, just because I'm normally the one that's giving all the hard times to y'all, I want to tell you, I've never encountered one of your special need bus drivers that wasn't excellent. And it's unfortunate you lost George, because George was one of the best. But he finally decided to retire for good, I think.
Thank you.
So
Last,
any other-
we have the, oh, sorry.
No, I was just checking to make sure there were no other questions. Go ahead.
Last, we have our funding model, the Transportation Vehicle Fund. And so as you can read through here, the TVF provides purchases and major repairs. As we change the types of buses from the D to the C, it allows us to be more efficient. They last longer, they're higher quality, and so we can get our full depreciation out of that. We also have applied for some grants, and we're awarded $560,000 to purchase 16 new buses.
So, sorry, you said from D to C. Are we keeping a few Ds for the bands?
Correct.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we are keeping a few for that underneath storage. Yeah. Our transportation department with Barbara's help manages the Transportation Vehicle Fund. And the last TVF levy was 18 years ago in 2001, and we went out for $3 million. Since that time, with our change in efficiency and maintenance and managing our fleet, we have not needed to go out to the taxpayers for additional transportation levy dollars. And as you can see, with the amount of rapid growth that we've had, we're still able to maintain what we've got with the drivers that we've got. This is a great team dedicated to safety and well-being of each student. They're often the first ones to say hello and the last ones to say goodbye at the end of the day, and they do a fantastic job, and I'm proud to be part of their work. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Barbara's going to come back up if you have any additional questions, but I just want to say our bus drivers, if you've ever sat behind the wheel of a bus, I drove one for a block one time, and that was enough for me to think, oh my, this is a huge vehicle. Our buses are very full, and they drive in tight places, and you know how daunting it is in a car where we drive around this area, and think about being responsible for children. And I know, Cassandra, with your question about substitute drivers, that is a really daunting job. And when you're not doing the same route every day, when you're kind of pinch hitting, that's asking a lot of people. And so it's something that's an important role. We could hire, I think last count was minimum of 20 to 30 tomorrow if we had them. And when you think about our busing needs in relationship to our growth, it's really surprising that we are as efficient as we are right now, but that's not going to hold for very much longer, which means then we're going to have to probably look at what other remedies are there. There may be some things with city routes that could be added, but we're going to have some decisions that we're going to have to look at for how we continue to transport students. As you know, in my former district, we had routes that were mainly special ed, still more routes, more buses, more drivers than in our district just by virtue of size. But there are different configurations in many districts across the country that we may end up having to just really go out and look at what other options are there for how we do these things. We have Jeff and his team. And truly, the dispatchers, if you ever want to go watch, I just feel like I'm in the way and serving no good purpose when I stand and watch them, but it's fascinating. It's almost like a 911 dispatch service. The activity is so intense at times. But we want them to know that we appreciate them, but we just need more of them. There are other cures, if you will, that we could have with, shorter route times. We've talked about our preschoolers being on buses. We could do a lot of things if we have more drivers. So we have to continually put that push out there and continually have that call for people to come and drive, because it's an important job, and we're just going to continue to have a huge need.
And Dr. Staben mentioned Jeff Miles, our transportation manager, and I just want to, he wasn't able to be here tonight, but I just want to thank him for the work that he has done with this department and managing the department, managing the transportation vehicle funded. Without his knowledge and experience and effort, we would not be where we are in our transportation department. So I just appreciate his work and the team's work on that. And I'll echo the comments. I was down in the office when we had our snowstorm, and watching them work and getting buses to where they needed to be and helping other buses that were in that snowstorm was just incredible. And you feel like you just watched. You wanted to help, but they had it down. So they're just a great team. So thank you.
Director Sage?
Let's see if I can remember what I was going to ask now. It has completely lost me.
Okay,
Sorry.
I think Director Stewart might have had something.
I'm going to come back to it.
Okay.
I'm sure it was important. I remembered.
Go ahead.
That always happens. I've seen the transit authority buses that are the double-deckers.
Oh.
Yeah. Have we considered looking at double-deckers and then having somebody up top, staff member, so that there is some oversight?
I'll give you credit for out-of-the-box thinking on that.
Yeah,
I don't know that those are designed the way school buses are with the safety features and the size of the seats and things that have to be in place for children, but
maybe
they can design one. There you go.
Thanks.
As we're looking at our staffing needs, it occurred to me that we do have various fire departments within the area who only work one day on and 1 or 2 days off, whatever it is. That might be able to help supplement our part-time busers. I don't know if that's ever been discussed or something that could be worked out with the community and municipalities, perhaps. And are we working with some of the homeless shelters, so forth, to see who would be possibly employable and trainable to get back into the workforce? I think it would be a two-way street of everybody benefiting.
We're working with WorkSource. I know our Human Resources Department makes sure that WorkSource, Redmond WorkSource and HopeLink has the information that we're hiring. And that's for both bus drivers, custodians, and all positions in the district. So
I have one other question for you. So as we look at buses, right now gas and diesel is what it sounds like. Have we looked at electric? Are we bringing on any more sustainable formats in which to be able to? be more green?
We
lower
had our
carbon footprint?
first school district in the state, I believe, has an electric bus. I think Franklin Pierce brought on an electric bus last spring. So they are expensive. I think they're over $400,000 per bus, and you have to put the equipment in. But there are some grants out there, so that's something that we could potentially look into for grants to purchase electric buses. But you have to have the infrastructure. So.
That's a good question, though, because that also speaks to the increasing difficulty finding bus mechanics. And with the electric buses, that's another skill set, because those are a little different configuration. And so that continues to be something that we talk about cultivating as well.
Barbara, if the electric buses are over 400,000, I've noticed a lot of the vehicles in the community that, especially the sanitation vehicles, are now natural gas. And granted, they aren't zero emission, but they're a lot closer than the others. Have we looked at what pricing those are by comparison?
I believe we did look at natural gas a few years ago. I was not involved in that process, but it's, you have to have the underground tanks, and so there was a lot of infrastructure related to that. We did look into it.
Okay, I just didn't know what the price comparison was.
Yeah.
Any other questions on transportation? Well, thank you for providing the presentation and giving a lot of detail on transportation. I think that's one of the first times we've had that. It is obviously a very complicated system, and explains the challenge when we move any schedule anywhere, the challenge that occurs throughout that system as we do so. Look forward to hearing how we start to use our other levels of transportation that are out there as we partner with Metro, with light rail coming in to the area. There's another possibility that we can start looking at and being able to access, and some of the other freedom to ride and different things that are coming forward. So it's exciting to see how that's coming forward.
Can I get a ride home? No. Never mind.
So thank you. Oh, and with that, I'm being reminded, it should also be noted, we had quite a few stats tonight. Well, this is also Bus Safety Week. And so it should be noted that here in Lake Washington School District, we do have those 90 buses that daily transport over 8,900 students, and that's an equivalent to more than 1.4 million miles a year. So in honor of School Bus Safety Week, October 21 through the 25th, I will read a proclamation issued by Governor Jay Inslee. Whereas on each school day in Washington State, more than 10,700 school buses provide more than 825,000 student trips with transportation between home and school, safely traveling more than 97 million miles. And whereas school bus drivers must complete initial and annual training and provide the highest standard of care for the students they transport, and whereas the school bus inspection program ensures the safety of school buses and exemplifies outstanding interagency cooperation between school districts and the Commercial Vehicle Division of the Washington State Patrol, and whereas school bus driver instructors, shop personnel, supervisors, and support staff perform vital functions in ensuring the safe operation of the student transportation system, and whereas ensuring motorists adhere to the rules of the road around school buses during the loading and unloading of students is critical to maintaining safe conditions, now therefore I, Jay Inslee, Governor of the State of Washington, do hereby proclaim October 21st to the 25th, 2019 as School Bus Safety Week in Washington, and I encourage all people in our state to join me in this special observance. Thank you. So thanks for all the work you do and the safety that we have and continuing to do that work. So our next item on the agenda this evening is any legislative update. So I'll hand it off to Director LaLiberty.
Not much of an update. I did want to report out to the community that the board's legislative platform or priorities is now available if you want to view it on our webpage. So if you go to, here, I'll do this live. If you go to lwsd.org, there's a board top. If you click on About the Board and then scroll down to the very bottom, the 2019 legislative platform. Well, hold on. Is this? Yes, there we are. Now we are. Yep. Okay. It is now available on our website if you wish to view it. The board adopted that at our last meeting in October. You laughing?
What did I tell you about live demonstration?
I nailed it. The board has adopted this platform. We are planning on how we can be effective for the upcoming session. There is a area meeting among electeds and administrators coming up on October 30th, and we'll have more to report then.
All right, thank you. So now the superintendent report. Dr. Stavum?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a brief recap. Our district is now a member district of what's called the League of Innovative Schools, which is part of Digital Promise. And this was started, I believe it was 2011-12, and was an initiative that was designed to put dollars from the federal government toward really spurring innovation in public schools. It started out with about 24 districts and now has grown to over 124 districts from across the nation that really represent districts that are on that leading edge of innovation and looking at practices that they can learn from each other and then bring back to their district. Throughout that process, it's gone from kind of sharing best practices now to really building out the tools that the league offers, including supports for things like real world learning and rubrics and toolkits and roadmaps and exemplar districts. And it also allows us to be part of a network where another district may be a few steps ahead of where we are, and we can look to them to say, how did you get to where you are? What were the steps that you took? The other nice thing about this is, compared to some other conferences and things that you may attend, is that there are site visits. And so I was able to go to 3 different schools in the district where we were. Loudoun County, Virginia. Again, they're a fast-growing district as well, some striking similarities in that regard. And one of the really interesting places that we were able to see was called the Academies of Loudoun. It just opened last year, and it's a career pathways concept with some interesting things around scheduling. The facility is beautiful. They had a lot of private donations from business and industry that then, of course, allow them to connect for opportunities for students, state-of-the-art equipment. One of the coolest features was the automotives bay was kind of sunk in the building, so you were able to walk down the hall and look down into the automotives area, or have classrooms that kind of functioned as an observatory, and kids could see what was going on down there. In addition to that, things that we're familiar with healthcare pathways and simulation capabilities and all kinds of different opportunities for students. Those are the kinds of things that we want to continue growing here. And so when you see some of those examples and you're able to talk with colleagues as you walk around about what does this look like in your district, how did you get there, who are you partnering with, where did you start, those are some really exciting things for us to be part of. Sally Askman, our director of technology, also went with me and was able to connect with many of her counterparts, which is also part of the mission of the league. When it first started, it was just superintendents, and as it's grown, the capacity for having others from our team and then networking even more people in our school districts has just grown, so that it's not go and then come back and it's an isolated event. You're able to share that and have other colleagues interfacing with their counterparts in other districts. So it's a great network to be part of. We have a lot that we can learn from other districts and a lot that we can offer as well. The last league meeting was with another partner district in our state in Highline. Highline, Vancouver, and Yakima are also member districts, and so we have a network even right here in our own backyard that we can interface with regularly. So it's an exciting thing to be part of. It gives us a lot of good capacity to continue expanding what we offer for our students and how we do that.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, so with that, are there any, next item on the agenda is board comments. Any comments?
Following up on my interest in post-ELL, 2 years ago, 2017-18, was the first time we had more post-ELL kids than current ELL kids. And last year, when we had almost 10% are in ELL, we had almost 13% post-ELL. So we are closing on 1 in 4 children in our district is either in ELL or post-ELL, which I think is an amazing number.
Director Sage.
Just a reminder that there's a couple of opportunities this week for the community to see a couple of our schools, the rebuilt schools. The new Juanita High School, Building 1, is open Saturday, I believe, the 26th. I would have to look it up. I think it's 11 a.m. to 2 or so. And then Peter Kirk, which day are they open for the community? This Thursday for the community, and that's about 2-ish. Open house
There's a
follows it?
grand opening, and then I think the open house is scheduled 4 to 7 afterwards.
Okay, so it's the same day, 4 to 7 at Peter Kirk. And if you want to see what one of the new buildings looks like, this is a great opportunity.
The other piece, just to be aware of, Angst is being shown again. It was the film that's about teenage anxiety and stress. And so I had the opportunity to see it at Juanita High School. They're doing it in partnership with Lake Washington Schools Foundation and Overlake, and being able to show the film to community as well as to students. So it's a great opportunity to promote conversation and discussion around mental health, well-being, and handling that. So if you get the opportunity to see it, I actually was being screened tonight, or maybe it's tomorrow night, at Lake Washington High School. I believe it's tomorrow night. We have a meeting, so we cannot attend. However, they'll be doing more later, so just if you get a chance to see it, it's worth it. Provide some good feedback of the life of our students. Any other comments? Okay, so we do have the joint meeting tomorrow night, October 22nd, with the Redmond City Council. That will be held at the council chambers of Redmond City Hall, starting at 7 p.m. And then our next board meeting will be November 4th with a study session at 5 p.m. and the board meeting following at 7. And with that, I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Director La Liberty and seconded by Director Carlson to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor, please signify by voting aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Meeting adjourned.